Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. How are you guys doing today?
Number one.
Where's your goat mask?
No.
Put your mask on. Put some kind of mask on.
No mask?
I don't want to have to look at your face.
No. You thought you were slick.
Yeah.
I had to take my case of dude back.
Did you?
Yeah, that dude that you suckered me into.
I'm about to explain to you how all-time lucky you were last night to win your little measly case of Diet Mountain Dew.
I got it back. I had it in the trunk of my car, so you know what? How you doing, Skip? You good?
Maybe not.
There you go. All right. Well, Shannon at least happy today, and that is because the Lakers are officially the #1 seed in the West after an 8-point win over the Jazz last night, thanks to Anthony Davis's 42 points and LeBron's 22. It's the first time the Lakers are the top seed in the conference since 2010. And after the game, LeBron said that he proved his doubters wrong, saying, quote, "They said I can't do it. I can just say it feels damn good to be the #1 seed in the West. For me, personally." So, Shannon, what was your biggest takeaway last night?
All aboard! The A train is now leaving to the #1 seed.
You mean the AD train?
A train. AD. You know it, Skip. Hold on. You nicknamed me all done.
Yeah.
You had everybody key.
Yeah, I was all done in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you were. And then he put a Jackie Robinson number on him. 42-12.
Sure did.
Ooh, and he didn't just do that to anybody. He did that to the old French chef, a Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Made a mess of him, old Grey Poupon everywhere, all over the court.
That is true.
Did you see it? That's two-time Defensive Player of the Year. That Anthony Davis just put 42, 12, and 5 on.
Last night, I had no idea how he ever won Defensive Player of the Year.
No, you understand why Magic Johnson, when everybody and Rob Pelinka was willing to move heaven and earth. Skip, that's a generational talent. As great as Brandon Ingram is playing, as great as Alonzo Ball you believe that he's going to be.
Josh Hart's been pretty good.
They can't be that. They can't be 6'10 and a half and can go get you those numbers. He showed you what he's capable of, Skip Bayless, against a premier defender.
So would you say he's now the best player on the Lakers?
It's not your turn.
It seems like that's what you're starting to make the case of.
It is my turn right now, Skip Bayless.
I'm just leading the witness.
I just want you to lead the witness. Skip, look. They made a conscious effort to get AD the ball early. But AD made a conscious effort to be more assertive. Now, Saturday, he only had 7 shots in the entire ball game. Last night, he had 14 shots at the end of the first quarter. He got it going. He said, okay, LeBron is making a conscious effort to get AD involved early, even at the detriment of his own numbers. He said, okay. He said, but don't worry about me.
That's how it works.
He said, don't worry about me. I'm going to be okay, because I've done this before. At the end of the day, Skip, Anthony Davis is the one mismatch that nobody in the Western Conference has an answer for. Because either they're too small or they're too big. Rudy Gobert is too big, so what does he do? He pulls him away from the basket, shoots over the top of him. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, anybody else in the Western Conference that he could potentially face, they're too small, so he can just post them up, shoot over the top of them. And guess what? He could put it on the floor, drive, to the free throw line we went, Skip Bayless, again. He looking like James Harden at the free throw line, drawing on the free throw attempts. But Skip, look, no one is surprised by this. And like LeBron said, we're the #1 seed when people like you and others said it couldn't be done. I want my money because if I'm not mistaken, I think the over-under was like 47, maybe 49. Blew past that. You better be glad, Skip. You better be glad we didn't have our full 82 because we're on a 63-win pace, and nobody saw that coming. And if they say they did, they're lying. Only me and the Lakers saw that coming because everybody said the Clippers was going to be the #1 seed, and they're going to be disappointed again because guess what? We coming up out the West.
What a difference 48 hours made, right? Because that same guy, Anthony Davis, I watched take 1 shot against Toronto in the whole fourth quarter, took 14 in the first quarter last night.
Yep.
The same AD, all done, against the Clippers in 4 fourth quarters this year, totaled 9 shots attempted. Think about that.
Yep.
He played 4 fourth quarters against the team down in his own basement.
Yep.
The team that they want to shame and humiliate. And he tried 9 shots in all 4 fourth quarters combined. Last night, he took 14 in the first quarter, and I didn't think it was about LeBron. I thought it was just about him. Just saying, give me the damn ball, LeBron, and get out of my way. I'm going to work on the quote-unquote defensive player of the year, who looked like he had cement shoes on last night. That's what it looked like to me.
Huh?
So here's what happened. Let me explain how all-time lucky you were down the stretch. According to Fox Bet, the spread last night was 6.5 points. So I felt sorry for you yesterday because I'd taken so many cases of Diet Mountain Dew, Breakfast of Champions, off you that I said, you know what? I would never bet a nickel on this game, but I'll bet 1 case of Dew because I'm so many cases up. Just for fun, I'll try it. I wouldn't have bet on it. But I thought, what the heck? Because I thought the Lakers should win by 10 or 12 points, and they won by, what was it, 8? Okay, so what happened in the game? The Lakers go on a 19-5 run featuring that guy, number 3, down the stretch of the quarter that he owns. He is Mr. Third Quarter, and he just took it over. 19-5, kaboom, and it looks like it's over. And all of a sudden, as the fourth quarter opens up, LeBron James is front-running. He starts to showboat. He starts to hot dog. He made 1 3 from, like, Sarasota.
Yeah, you saw that?
It was from Sarasota. Yeah. He just pulls up because you're front-running. You don't have any pressure. There's nothing to worry about. And he just says, I'll try this one.
That's a Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, whoa, boom. And he's hot-dogging.
That should be a 4-pointer.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. And then there was a play a little later in the game. With about 3 minutes left. They still looked like they were in charge when LeBron dribbles down the lane and he
all the way? All the way?
No, he kind of lost his feet and he actually traveled here. And he's keying, he's cutting up, he's laughing. Oh, he's clowning. Oh, it's so much fun. Oh, cover your face, Bron. Oh, come on now. Oh.
That wasn't no travel.
Oh.
By the way.
Okay, they are front-running, and they are about to get in trouble because Donovan Mitchell from my team, the Jazz, who are hapless without Bogdanovich, he is their leading three-point shooter. He's shooting 42% from 3, and he just had wrist surgery. So what happened now? Here we go, down the stretch. Anthony hits an incredible shot, a 3-point shot, and gets an and one on Gobert.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm cooked. Here he is. He just pulls up on Gobert, and Gobert slaps him across the wrist. Bam! Boom. And I think, I'm cooked. But Donovan Mitchell comes right back and says, no, I can top that. I'll try this. And he gets slapped across the wrist, and he makes a 4-point play, and I'm back to only 6. So I'm winning right now. Then Anthony Davis is about to miss, and Donovan Mitchell gets the rebound, and he's off to the races. He's going, we didn't see the rest of the tape, but he's going to the other end.
Layup.
He's got he's got a wide open dunk. And I'm saying, just dunk it.
No.
Yes, we got to play the whole tape again here. All right, we got to start the whole tape over here again. But anyway, Donovan Mitchell, okay, so it's a 4-1 play. We're going to have to hold on just a second here. Then we get the miss on the other end. And Donovan Mitchell is he's off to the races. And I've got a wide open dunk to win my bet. This is going to be it because nobody guards it. Just dunk it.
No.
Dunk it, but he's got to kick it out for a 3 because they're down 6, and Royce O'Neal misses, and guess who gets the rebound and gets fouled? That guy, the automatic free throw maker, gets it, and here we go. And
you still had another chance.
There was, one chance at the end of the game. Donovan Mitchell takes an inbounds from Ingles and goes up on one leg and rips it. Mm-hmm. And the referee says the inbounds pass bounced on the black line.
Yeah.
So they call it off or you lose.
Yeah.
It would have cut it back to 5 points, and I got 6.5. So I got screwed. You got lucky. You deserved a break, and you finally got a break.
Hold on. Skip Bayless, you're down by 6 points, and you want the man to dunk the ball just so you can cover the...
Yeah, maybe you can steal the inbounds pass. I need to cover. I need to cover.
Well, just say that.
Donovan, what are you doing? Because some people would coach that, just take the dunk.
No, ain't nobody
Some would coach that, take the dunk and try to steal the inbounds pass.
Yeah. You're still down 4. So even if you steal the inbound, you're going to be, if you make a 3-pointer. Because you see LeBron, everybody had pulled off. They want you to go. Remember? That's what you said about the Lakers when they played the Mavericks. LeBron, what are you doing? Are you going to dunk it and end the game? Oh! And he gets...
Yeah, I didn't think he had another option at that point. And he was so lucky.
He had plenty of options.
He didn't. Yeah, he had one option because Dwight Howard, he just grabbed the jersey and held it to free Danny Green in the corner. The Danny Green that you despise now.
I mean, look, Danny is trying. He's struggling with his shot. He was even putting the ball on the floor last night trying to get to the rim. He just needs to see the ball go in. Skip, look, LeBron, they are making an effort. AD is going to be the front and center in these playoffs. Because, Skip, there is no answer for him. There is none. You're right. There are a lot of teams that can throw a lot of different bodies at LeBron. They got a lot of 6'7", 6'8" guys. Maybe they're not as strong as he is. But you can throw enough bodies at him. But you don't have a body. If you throw Nurkic is too big, too slow. If you throw Whiteside, he's too slow. I don't know. Whiteside has been generous since Nurkic has come back. He's kind of been relegated to the bench, and he normally plays well in a contract year, Skip.
Shannon, you're forgetting about that team in the basement.
What about them?
They cause him big trouble.
They don't call AD?
Yeah. I just told you in 4 fourth quarters against the Clippers, he's taken a grand total of 9 shots.
That's okay.
You know why? Because 2 people are on him. Trez is on him. Trez isn't even there yet.
Right.
And
are you sure Trez coming?
Yeah, somebody's on him.
Are you sure Trez coming?
I don't know. I don't know for sure.
Oh,
you better hope he does.
Why would I hope that? So you could have another excuse when LeBron gets out of the West and wins the title. Oh, Trez wasn't there. Oh, Lemon Pepper Lou went to Magic City. You're going to come up with all these reasons.
He did go to Magic City.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Right now, he's back in the Magic Kingdom, as are the Clippers, and they're starting to look magical to me. If they could get Trez back, they will be just fine, thank you. And I would still call them a slight favorite, even though they've had disunity that they're going to have to figure out and overcome. But they're just better than the Lakers, and if talent prevails, they will prevail.
Well, we split. We played 4 games. We split them.
Okay.
So how can you? Hey, and guess what, Skip? They said the Lakers were going, not the Lakers, but the Clippers were going to be the #1 seed in the West.
Okay, so here we go again. You are gloating off an opponent that this team owned all year. They played 3 times, and the Lakers won 3 pretty easy games against Utah.
Well, hold on.
No Bogdanovich. And by the way, the MVP of the night for the Lakers was the ex-Laker Jordan Clarkson. He goes 2 for 13. He goes 1 for 9 from 3, and they shoot a grand total of 27.9% from 3. You were lucky.
So let me ask you a question. In the previous 2 games, did they have Bogdanovich?
Yes, they did.
So, in other words, he made no difference when they had him.
They had Mike Conley in the 2 previous games, except they really didn't have him because I don't know what he was doing. He wasn't winning any horse tournament the previous 2 games.
Skip, he was making some shots last night.
Last night, he started to cook.
Because he's so herky-jerky. I mean, you know, he's either, like you said, he's ambidextrous. So either hand, next thing you know, he's dribbling with the right. Next thing you know, he's laid it up on the glass with his left hand. Why you won't give us no credit?
So then after the game, LeBron James had the audacity on that given night to gloat about winning the West, saying, they said I couldn't do it.
That's what they say.
They said I couldn't do it, so he said, I'm going to enjoy this one. He said, it personally means so much to me. That on a night in which his new teammate had carried him with 42 points and 12 rebounds and shot 12 free throws, which were 9 more than anybody else on the team. It was all AD all the time last night. You know it, and I know it.
I didn't say it wasn't.
Okay, but how on that night could LeBron say, this means so much to me personally? Has he ever had a more gifted, talented teammate than that man?
No.
He had Dwayne when he got to Miami, and Dwayne's all about intangibles, and I'll take Dwayne's intangibles over that guy's any day or night.
Right.
But that guy's talent at, what do we call him, 6'10"?
Yeah.
And he's shooting threes, and he's shooting free throws like he's 5'11".
90% from the free throw line, 37 to 41 if I'm not mistaken.
Unbelievable. And so I'm saying, LeBron, you're gloating about winning the West when your first go-round in the West, when you didn't have him, was a disaster.
Okay, it was, but what about now?
It was 28 and 27 when you started games. There was a blooper reel, and I'm not going to call for the blooper reel because it's not fair on a day you did clinch the West.
Okay,
but let's look at the West. The point is, that the East is starting to rival the West. It is. It just is. The West is no longer clearly the best.
I just want to know one thing.
Yeah.
Where do the Clippers reside? So now the Clippers aren't any good. The
Clippers have played 12 total games this year with their full roster intact. You like that? Because I don't like that.
You knew that when you signed Kawhi. He was not going to practice.
But they've all been hurt. It's been one thing after another. It starts to feel not meant to be. Even in the bubble, it's nothing but trouble.
Okay, what's Paul George's history with injuries?
He's coming off 2 shoulder surgeries.
Okay,
yep.
and he broke his leg, and he came back even better.
So help me out. Is Kevin Durant still in the West? Wait a second. Is Steph in the West? Is Clay in the West?
Yes.
Yeah, they are, but they didn't play this year. And Kevin Durant didn't play this year, and he's now in the East. Was there a dynasty left in Golden State? No, they became, improbably, the worst team in all of basketball this year, and you're gloating about dominating the West?
We're going to talk about this West.
Okay, well, I want to finish it right now because did my Spurs have Duncan, Parker, or Ginobili this year? No, they're sub 500.
Don't do that.
They try hard.
For real, Skip.
Okay, for real.
Hold on.
Did Zion play all year this year? No, he didn't. He's still a baby, and he's still out of shape, and we're going to talk about him in just a minute, but they didn't have to deal with full-strength, full-bore Zion this year. And Utah was never quite right, and Denver was never quite right, and Portland didn't have Nurkic and didn't have Zach Collins. They finally do.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, but think about what you're up against. It wasn't the West anymore.
And the Rockets didn't have Elijah Wan.
Okay, the Rockets, again, James said the other night that he and Russ are just now figuring each other out because it was going to take a while.
Right.
And they're finally starting to click. We'll see if they still click tonight against Portland. But the point is, was that impressive to win the West when you had that guy as your quote-unquote sidekick? I think LeBron was more of a sidekick to him.
Okay, but let me ask you a question, Skip. In all the years, nobody has ever said, so was Kareem not talented with Magic?
Sure.
Was Shaq not talented with Kobe?
But that's not the point. We're talking in today's context of the West.
But Skip, he's in the West. First in the West, the West. He goes to the West. Let me ask you a question. What guy... maybe Nowitzki, but when you look at it, all the teams, Shaq, Kobe, Kareem Magic, Kareem and Oscar, people don't realize this, you do. The Bucs used to be in the West. They were the #1 seed, but Kareem had Bobby Danrich, and he also had Big O. So, Skip, stop this notion that one guy was...
Who has a duo like this duo? Who can compete in the West? Who has 2 players like these guys?
Well, who has a duo like Magic and Kareem?
We're talking now. I don't care what happened in ancient history.
But you can't do that.
Yes, you can.
You got to compare it. So who had a duo like Shaq and Kobe?
Okay, but we're talking today. I don't care about that. Who had Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili? They were a dynasty.
Okay, so why is it a big deal for LeBron to have...
Who else has that right now?
Who else has Shaq and Kobe?
Current competition. Who has it?
Skip.
Who has those 2? And if you look hard at Anthony Davis's year so far, I can make a strong case he should be the MVP.
Hold on.
And I'm serious. He's outscoring LeBron. He's obviously out-rebounding LeBron. How about PER? You know PER, right? Yeah. Player efficiency rating. Anthony ranks 3rd. LeBron is now 10th in the league in PER. You like that?
Skip, you just told me from 1999 to 2001, no player in NBA history was more dominant than one Shaquille O'Neal. He also had alongside him, a lot of people say he's a top 5 player in Kobe Bryant. Now you're talking about LeBron James has Anthony Davis.
Okay, time out. When Shaq clinched the West in those years, did he gloat? They said I couldn't do it. Nobody said you couldn't do it because everybody thought you would do it.
Hold on. Shaq got there in 96.
Okay.
So where was the #1 seed in 96, 97, 98?
Okay, well, he didn't have that Kobe. He
had Kobe?
Well, he had him when he was 18.
Oh, so now see, Skip.
And they needed Phil to try to help them figure it out.
You know what? For a man your size, you're really strong. Because you can just pick up goalposts and move them at will. How you do that so easy? Because every time...
I can bench press a goalpost.
Because every time you keep saying, okay, they said LeBron wouldn't be doing this in the West. Obviously, if LeBron had gone to the West and you give him a team like the Cavaliers, he's not going to be the #1 seed.
If he had so much as just made the playoffs with last year's Lakers team in the West, I would have been highly impressed.
Well, how about this here?
He did not even make the playoffs.
How about that team make the playoffs without LeBron? Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, they got Zion, they got Ingram. Go make the playoffs.
I like their chances.
I don't.
We're going to talk about that in just a moment.
I don't.
I love their chances.
All I know is I love my team. I love my team. We 51 up.
You love your best player.
We love
who happens to wear 3, not 23.
Time out. Yeah, I'm gonna get a jersey. I'm gonna get a 3 jersey too. I'm gonna be rocking 3. The 3-2-3 is where it's at.
Really?
You didn't know that?
Yeah.
The real Cali number, not 2-1-3, 3-2-3.
And when the real games start and the tough defensive opponents come, all of a sudden, AD stands for all done in the fourth quarter.
Oh, so in other words, Rudy Gobert in the tough. Now, he might win Defensive Player of the Year again.
You know what? He plays with concrete shoes. He does.
Yeah.
Last night, I'm watching him saying, what are you doing?
Rudy Gobert
loses track. He just sort of stands in the lane. If you happen to challenge him where he can just stand on his tiptoes and block your shot, that's a problem.
But that's a lot of problem because he keeps people from coming out of the lane. Skip, Rudy Gobert plays the same night in and night out. He's a typical 5, old school 5. That's it. They run no plays for him except lobs, or he'll get stuff off the backboard and stuff at home. And he clogs up the lane.
You know
That's what he is.
The Jazz are the easiest matchup in the West for the Lakers. In the West, of any of the playoff teams in the West. Easiest matchup.
They don't want to see us.
Yep.
And Skip,
the Jazz don't.
At some point in time, some of our threes going to have to, because everybody else raining threes. We can't buy a 3 on a consistent basis.
Well, you're a little better last night.
A little. Very little.
35%. That'll work.
Okay.
Yep. If you can keep making 35, you got a shot.
But we need
the Clippers are making 40.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But y'all caught that L. You made 40 against us and still caught an L. And LeBron didn't even play good. I ain't even talking about LeBron not only having 8 shots in the half.
I got 2 words for you. Lemon pepper.
Really? Yeah. I wasn't expecting those to be the 2 words.
Lemon pepper. Just remember, lemon pepper.
No mercy. After being restricted to less than 30 minutes in the first 2 games back in the bubble, Zion Williamson played 25 minutes last night in the Pelicans' 109-99 win over the Grizzlies, and he racked up 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists in the win. Zion said after the game that he felt alive again. So, Shannon, how impressed were you with what you saw from Zion?
Zion, he played well, Skip. Although his field goal percentage wasn't very good, I thought he played well. I thought he was aggressive. He looked good on the offensive end, especially because, Skip, most of his stuff is going to come in the paint. 19 of his 21 shots came within the paint, and he was super aggressive last night, as I mentioned earlier, career-high 21 shot attempts. But, Skip, conditioning is an issue. Skip, I think the load management is an issue. Skip, he gets his shot blocked on one end. Skip, Alvin Gentry had to call timeout. That's it. Skip, look, and I hate to belabor the point. And people say, well, he's always been big. He's always going to be big. But he hasn't always played 82 games in a season. He hasn't always going to be asked to play 35, 40 minutes a night, Skip. You have to understand, as you age and people ask you to do different things, you have to be able to respond with that, Skip. I don't care what anybody says. People can say all they want to. Zion Williamson is not less than 300 pounds. And conditioning is going to be his issue. Injuries is going to be. That's the only thing that can stop him from having a long, productive career is his weight. Because that kind of weight, jumping up and down, night in and night out, Skip, is not going to last very long. Skip, he is an unbelievable talent. Explosive beyond explosive. No man that size should be able to move like he does, should be able to leave the floor. Skip, he can get up, down, and up again as quick as somebody a third of his size. But that's the only thing that concerns me. Ja was terrible last night. Maybe it was in his mind, these are 2, top rookie of the year candidates, Skip. Skip, he didn't play well. And Ja had been unbelievable the first 2 games coming in. He had been unbelievable all year. But he was 5 of 21. The 3 ball was not there. He's not a great 3-point shooter, but he can knock those down. But I thought he was pressing. I thought the moment, Zion, I thought he let that moment get to him. But Zion Williamson, Skip, and Brandon Ingram. Skip, this dude's I don't think people realize it because, like I said, Skip, when you lose, it goes unnoticed. But the Pelicans, because people with Zion, they were going to be on television, and so you get an opportunity to see a lot more Brandon Ingram. When it was in the Lakers, Skip, if you wasn't on Spectrum, you couldn't watch him. But now they have him on TNT, and you can see him play on ESPN. Skip, He can do it. He can. You watch him down the stretch. That's why they won that game. Skip, he was unbelievable down the stretch, Skip. He was unbelievable. But back to Zion, Skip, they can't stop him. Skip, he's like a bulldog. Skip, he's going through guys' chests like they're paper mache.
Yep.
I mean, and they can't do anything. They're like, I ain't taking this. Skip, I ain't taking this charge. I'm going to let him have this one. But he's unbelievable. He's phenomenal. I just wish he can get his conditioning under control, get his training, his eating habits under control, Skip, because I believe he can be special. The only thing that's going to slow him down is injury and conditioning.
So I hear everything you just said. I co-sign. Yep, he's way too heavy. Yep, he's way out of shape. Yep, there may be something still wrong with that troubled knee of his. He's got both of them in jeopardy, but one of them looks like it's still barking, and he looked a little limpy, and when he made that bad idea attempt to try to power up to 3 and get a shot, he had to eat it.
Yeah.
Because it was just a bad idea all the way up. It looked like after he hit the floor that he limped to the bench in that timeout that you said Alvin Gentry had to call. And I'm thinking, is he done for the night? And he wasn't done for the night. So despite everything that I just said, this man managed to score 23 points in 25 minutes. Can you imagine what he could do if he ever got himself right? Can you imagine what would happen? So now it appears to me that the only way for him to get in shape is that Alvin's going to have to hope he can play his way into shape. I thought it was a great sign that somebody upstairs, starting with David Griffin, some of the medical people, signed off on, yeah, you can let him finish the game.
Right.
Because it was crushing the kid's soul that he had to sit over there sulking, you know. I can't.
It was crushing the team's soul.
It was.
Like, he's one of our best players.
Thank you. Despite all that happened last night, and by the way, he threw in 7 rebounds and a career high, tied his career high with 5 assists. He can handle the basketball. He can see it, feel it, move it for such a big man. And as you know, such touch and such feel, when it's combined with that much force and power, it's just extraordinary.
Right.
I just sit back in awe of some of the moves that he makes. And he still has pretty good quickness and lift at 300.
He does.
Okay, if you could take 25 off, you know what would happen?
He'd be unbelievable.
Destruction would happen.
Yes.
Well, can he figure that out? Can they hope that, because he doesn't seem to be like a spin class. You know, you don't mind going to spin class.
Right.
It's not easy to go to spin class and sit on that bike for 45 minutes or an hour.
Right.
I know what it feels like, but I'm addicted to it, so it doesn't bother me.
Right.
But he's not built that way.
Right.
And obviously, he is not observing the proper dietary habits. He's just not.
No.
And you talk about New Orleans and all the the food temptations. It's just unbelievable.
That jambalaya,
Hey,
etouffee.
it's just too much.
Yes.
I get it. And he's like a big kid still.
Skippy, you know, in New Orleans, they're not cooking with Pam.
No, they're not.
Ain't no low-cal.
No.
I'm sure there are some nice restaurants where you get low-calorie and vegan, but that's not New Orleans flavor.
It's a high-fat town.
Yes.
It is. Fat Tuesday.
Skip, it is what it is. And here's the thing. The thing with you, when you started working out, when you saw the results, you were hooked. When I started working out, I started seeing gains, and I could see a little more, like,
He hadn't gotten there yet.
He hadn't gotten there yet, Skip.
Okay, so he's not going to go swim for an hour.
No.
You know, he's just not going to do it. So you have to hope that his knees will allow him to play his way into shape.
Right.
And if they do, even last night at 300 pounds, was he not the best player on the floor? Yes, he was.
Unbelievable.
Was he not a difference maker?
Yes.
Is he not? To me, he's the closer for that team. And I got you. B.I. went off in the fourth quarter. But when you look around and you say, we got that guy on our side, you could just see the whole spirit of the team lift. When he came back in the game with whatever it was, 5 minutes late, he played 10 minutes in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Okay? You could see the spirits of the team. You could see the body language change. And all of a sudden, they took the game over and they kept it over, right? And it's all about Zion. This team is going to go as far as he can carry them in restricted minutes. Well, if the minutes start going up to 25 and 30 and maybe even 35.
No, he's not going to play 30. I don't know if they let him play more than 30, Skip.
Okay. Well, even 30. If you can get 30 good minutes out of him.
If you get 30 out of him, Skip, whoo.
So, shall we look at what's left on the schedule? I kept telling you going into this, they've got the easiest schedule like times 10.
Right.
When you looked at the other teams' schedules to finish.
Memphis is
Okay. Look what New Orleans has left. They got Sacramento, Washington, my Spurs, Sacramento again, and Orlando. Okay, help me out.
Right.
Could they win out?
Well, it might come down to the Spurs.
Okay.
Because Orlando is better than people think. Vucevic and Gordon and folks, they've been playing well. They're better than people think, Skip.
Okay. But again, my Spurs don't have LaMarcus Aldridge.
Right.
So Jakob Poeltl has to play high minutes at center, and I love him. He's a good guy. I met him one time in Las Vegas, took a picture with him.
Right.
He's a great guy. And he's 7 feet tall. But you know what's going to happen.
Right.
You know what's going to happen.
Shoulder to chest, lay the ball up.
Embiid last night against Jakob, it's just like a mismatch. He just can't deal with it.
Right.
Okay, so that's a pretty easy schedule. And then a lot of people are getting hot on Portland. We're going to see them tonight. Right. But look at their closing schedule. They go, could they make the 8 seed or the play-in?
9.
Tournament? Yeah.
Everybody's looking. Nobody cares about 8.
No,
just get to the 9 seed.
so you can do the play-in.
Right.
Okay, Portland has left Houston and Denver and the Clippers and Embiid and Philly and Dallas, and then they finish with Brooklyn. But it's a hard finish,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
And look at Memphis. All of a sudden, they've got Utah, which is 50-50, and then Oklahoma City and Toronto and Boston and Milwaukee. Yikes.
Yeah, Memphis squandered a couple of games early.
Ooh, they did.
They squandered a couple of games early.
So they're 0-3 in the restart. Can they get it back together?
Right.
I don't know. I like that team's chances just because of the schedule and because I saw a big ray of hope last night. He finished the basketball game.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Well, Skip, I just think the thing is, are the Pelicans really trying to make this playoff, Skip? Or are they really? Are they really trying? Because that's what I want to know.
Well, I think so. Why do you think not?
Because 15 minutes one night and then 20 minutes.
Well, they're just trying to protect his knee. I don't know if he's got a knee issue or not. If they're just holding their breath, that the knee's going to go at any moment.
Well, here's the thing, Skip. The thing is that you and I both know the thing to protect knees and joints is take weight off, not add weight to it.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, as a young man, and Skip, he's 20. I know. He's 20. That's what people need to understand, 20.
He just turned 20.
Normally...
You can remember yourself at 20.
Yes. But, Skip, normally big 20-year-olds be even bigger 25 and 30-year-olds.
No doubt.
So he needs to get this thing under control so he can... Because I don't want to look back. Man, just imagine if Zion could have got his weight under control. Skip, how many players? Because we look back at Brandon. Just imagine if Brandon Roy knees would have held up or Greg Oden knees and feet would have held up. What could they have been? Well, that's something they couldn't control.
Remember when you got to Baltimore, what you did for Ray?
Yeah.
Ray Lewis?
Yeah.
You changed his diet. Right?
Yeah.
You showed him the way.
Right.
And I think it put like 5 years on the back of his career, right?
Right.
I wish you could counsel that kid.
Well, I think, Skip, look, from what I hear, he's very insulated. I mean, it's basically him, his mom, and his stepfather.
Yep.
And sometimes, Skip, you get guys like that, if you try to help them do something, they might think you want to take credit for the success they've already enjoyed. And so for me, I don't mention anything. I never mention anything about it. And when people will fight, oh, you did this. If Ray want to tell you what I've done, that's Ray. That's not me.
But he sought. He came to you.
Right.
Help me out.
Skip, I talked to a lot of guys, on the phone. And I was like, if they don't mention it, I don't mention it. Because I'm not here to say, oh, yeah, I talked to him and I told him to do this. That's not. If they want to say, well, I had a conversation with Shannon and we talked about this and this and this, and a lot of this goes back, and he's mentioned this before, Larry Fitzgerald, when Fitz, when he was coming up and he was about to be a free agent, and he's like, what do you think I should do? I say, nowhere you can go will love you like Arizona.
Okay. Nobody has to know that you talked to him. No. Just you and that young man.
I would be more than happy to. I mean, he from Greenville.
Yep.
Spartanburg, Greenville,
Spartanburg. Yep.
Spartanburg, yeah.
South Carolina.
Yep.
Got it. Do it.
Curious, Shannon.
I recommend it.
Did you take your diet and fitness seriously immediately?
No, 93.
Okay.
93 when I said, you know what? I started eating egg whites and oatmeal every breakfast. Up until then, it was fast food for breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner.
But you saw the difference right away.
Man, once I saw some, once I saw like,
Whoa.
Looking like an anatomy chart. I said, oh, yeah, this the ticket.
I wasn't trying to give you a compliment.
Oh, my bad.
I just wanted to know the truth about your Dyna Fitness. And you know what? Hopefully he starts to understand. And like you guys mentioned, he's so young.
Yes.
But when you start to feel better, you want to make that change. And I'm, a couple weeks into my new fitness routine, Skip and Shannon, just so you guys know. Feeling great. We got to move on, talk a little bit college football, guys. TCU football players boycotted practice yesterday after allegations came out that head coach Gary Patterson repeated a racial slur that was used by a player this weekend. Now, just this morning, Patterson tweeted that he met with the team last night and apologized for his use of the slur. He also said the use of the word in any context is unacceptable and he must live by the same standards that he holds his players to. I've been thinking on this, but I would like, Shannon, your reaction to this story.
Well, there's never an excuse. And Gary Patterson, you don't get to determine how we communicate amongst our peers, especially in our community. You don't get to tell me how I can talk to somebody else in my community. You stick to your community and tell y'all communicate how you want to and allow us to do the same.
Yep.
But Skip, you see the recurring theme here? Now, a couple of years ago, the Clemson tight end coach did the exact same thing. He repeated what someone said. So in other words, that's the opportunity to say that word. But I'm just repeating what I'm just saying, Skip.
I also believe it happened at Iowa, so we've seen several instances of this.
We see a reoccurring theme here.
Yep.
Skip, you don't have kids, but I do. And kids would sometimes say things, and I never repeated, don't say that, you know what? We don't use that word. Why couldn't Gary Patterson simply say, whatever the player's name is, we don't use that word.
Dylan Jordan.
We don't use that word, son, here. We don't do that. But he wanted to repeat it. And then when they boycotted, they got to the meeting, Skip, he said, I wasn't calling you that again. Come on, Gary Patterson, you know. Skip, Gary Patterson known us to be a lot of these kids' grandfather. So for him not to know, and they also asked him, say, will you please stop saying you don't see color? Because everybody knows that's a lie. Because you drive, you pull up to a stop sign, you don't blow through it, you stop. You go to run on the street, your traffic light, it turns green, you go. How can, if you don't see color, how could you do that? It's not whether or not you see color, it's that when you see that color, what's the stimuli? How do you react, Gary Patterson? Your players have every right to be upset. Skip, I don't think he should be fired, but I do think he should be suspended. I believe Gary Patterson should be suspended. He knows better than this. And we got to stop this notion, well, I'm not calling you that. I'm just saying you shouldn't say that. Okay, Dylan Jordan, we don't use that word. We really appreciate it. We're trying to clean it up. We don't say that. But for you to repeat it after you know what that word means, even in the context that when Dylan, he said it to a teammate, you don't get that luxury. But again, Skip, if you create something, you feel you should be able to say it whatever you want to. Skip, that's your car. You feel you should be able to drive it whenever you want to. You should feel you should jump in Ernestine's car, that Bentley, and drop the top and go anywhere you want to. Now, Ernestine might pull up on you, but you feel like, well, hold on, Ernestine, I did buy it. So if I were to take it to the store.
I have to have permission.
Good, you should, because you got a lead foot. You should have to have permission. And she want her car to stay nice. But Gary Patterson is out of pocket for this. He's wrong, and the Big 12 and the university should take action against Gary Patterson.
I am so with you on this. I have zero sympathy for Gary Patterson. I agree with you. I'm not going to go so far as to say it's a fireable offense.
Yeah.
It's a suspendable offense. And it's so naively out of bounds for a coach who has been there. This is his 20th season. He's been very good there.
Yeah.
He had 6 top 10 finishes and had the one undefeated season back in 2010 with Andy Dalton.
Right.
How could he not be listening to what's been transpiring over the last 2 months in this country? How could he not be following what happened at Clemson and what happened at Iowa? How could he not know and understand the culture of the majority of the athletes he coaches? I don't know exactly what TCU is in racial breakdown. Could we go 80% black? Oh, yeah. At least?
At least 70. At least 75.
Okay, let's go somewhere 70 to 80%.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So you have to understand the young men that you have some authority over, and you have to understand where your out of bounds is.
Right.
The limit of your authority. Okay, so I have been saying on television for a dozen years, I would say. White people, you can't use that word in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
You can't even use it. You can't repeat rap lyrics in which the word that I always call the most evil word in the English language, the one that your community drained the poison out of and put an A on the end of it, because you use it as a term of endearment.
Right.
Something that's familiar between you and another black person.
Right.
White people, no, you can't use it. You can't even repeat it
Just
as a rap lyric.
Just because you got friends that are black don't mean...
No, you can't repeat it. And obviously, Gary Patterson has... The naivete dumbfounds me. And it makes me want to go to the F word, which is, in this case, the firing word.
Right.
Because you have to understand that you can't tell this, he's a redshirt freshman, Dylan Jordan, I don't think you can say you can't use that word in our meetings, because that's your call.
Right.
And again, maybe it's not the best word to use in mixed company, so to speak. You know, maybe you wouldn't use it in mixed company. Maybe if we're all sitting around after the show chatting about something. Maybe you wouldn't use it. I'm not sure I've ever heard you use it.
Not, Skip, in this kind of setting, but in football,
yes.
with the Ravens and Broncos, absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so he's saying in a meeting, and there might be there'll be some white coaches, obviously, and maybe a few white players, please don't use that word. But you can't tell the kid not to use the word by saying the word to the kid.
Exactly.
You cannot. You have stepped completely out of bounds.
Thank you.
And then I believe, if I read right, that when he addressed the team, he said, I didn't call him, and he said the whole N word, the one that ends in the hard ER. He said it to the team. I didn't call him. You cannot say that. That's a fireable offense to me. In 2020, after all we've been through, you cannot say that.
Currently going
It cannot come out of your mouth.
It cannot.
Okay, so, again, I'm going to try to be balanced on this, because I read that, okay, this kid's a redshirt freshman. So he took Gary Patterson on Twitter. He posted on Twitter their conversation, his recollection of the conversation. Then a senior tight end named Artavius Lynn called out the redshirt freshman on Twitter and called him soft for posting that statement on Twitter. Okay, you get that. Like, don't call him out. Let's talk about it internally first. And then he went on and on. He followed up that tweet by saying, first and foremost, I would like to say that I am completely against all racism as a black man. And he went on. Okay, we get that. But he said, with that being said, you N-word, quote unquote, was never stated to anyone. So the point is, Gary Patterson didn't call him the N-word. He just said the N-word to him while asking him not to use the N-word, the one ending in A, in meetings. Okay, you certainly understand, no good. No go. No. Okay, but at least Artavius Lynn is saying he didn't, again, the fireable offense would be if he called the kid, to criticize him.
He can't say it, period. He can't make reference. What's the name of that? He can't say that word at all.
At all.
Now, remember, Skip, last year the school settled with a former player that alleged harassment and abuse. Gary Patterson, come on now. As you said, Skip, he's been there for 20 years. He understands the history of that word. He understands the history of what our country is going through currently.
He? I don't know if he does.
Look, there are certain things, Skip, in the South, we get a different look. He's in Texas, and it's the Southwest.
Just for the record, he's from small town Kansas. He went to Kansas State, but he's a country music. He's very good on his guitar. He sings pretty well. I called up one last night to just listen to it, but he likes to play country music. I'm not saying that qualifies him as a redneck, but he's not Texan. He's middle American.
Well, he done been in Texas so long. He Texas now.
You could argue that.
Skip, you can't. You correct the child not by actually saying the word, by saying we don't use that word, or we don't use those words. We don't talk like that. But to repeat the word, you thought that was okay. So you thought he was going to like, okay, you know what, Coach, you're right. I shouldn't use that word. I don't know, Skip. These guys, these coaches, man, I don't know, Gary Patterson. I don't know where you thought this was okay. In what world is this okay, Skip?
It's especially the college coaches, because they are the kings of their little kingdom.
I can never. Skip, I already know. Ain't no professional coach would ever say, not in today's time. Now, maybe back then when in the 50s and the 60s or right at integration, maybe some things were said. But for a coach to say that now, players will step to a coach if you talk to him sideways, let alone saying that word. But these college coaches, y'all need to play a little bit more respect. I understand they're 18, 19-year-old, and they just want to get to the next level. So they're willing to take on and accept more
that is true.
Harsh talk to them than, say, a professional will, because he's already at that level. But don't disrespect the man because you're in a position of authority. Don't, Skip, I pride myself. I've never been anybody's boss. But I would like to think the runners that we had at CBS and the people that we have here, they say, you know what? Because I always think, what if my child, what if I had this job? Would I want the professional or the analyst to talk to me sideways? No, I wouldn't. So I try to treat everybody, Skip, nice, how I would want to be treated. But Gary Patterson, you out of pocket for this. And if TCU and the Pac-12 don't, the Big 12 don't take action, I'm going to be sadly disappointed, very disappointed.
I'm with you.
It's disappointing. I can't believe we still have these discussions sometimes, and I feel for the players because it puts them in a weird position with their coach, and it's disappointing. Naive is the word that comes to mind. I can't believe we're still having these conversations.
No mercy.
Nuggets rookie Michael Porter Jr. had a breakout game less than a week after making controversial comments about the COVID-19 pandemic. In an overtime win against the Thunder last night, Porter poured in 37 points and had 12 rebounds. He is the first Nuggets rookie since Carmelo Anthony to have at least 35 points and 10 rebounds in a game. So, Shannon, how high is Porter's ceiling?
Very high. Skip, there's a reason why he was the #1 recruit coming out of high school. A lot of people thought he was going to be the #1 pick in the draft. Had it not been for that back injury, he might have been. And I think that was the only thing that really held him back. He landed in a great spot. The Nuggets didn't have to reach. He kind of fell to the Nuggets. It would have been interesting to see if the Nuggets would have taken them had they been in the lottery. But because they were at the 15th, they could just sit there and he just landed in their lap. They had some other pieces around Skip. They didn't have to rush him. And he comes in. Skip, what makes him unique? He's 6'10" and he's a scorer. What makes Kevin Durant? What made Dirk Nowitzki unique? Their ability to score from the perimeter, because normally when we had guys that side, the Kevin Garnett's, the Tim Duncan, they were back-to-the-back players. They didn't have three-point range. This kid got Skip. He was 6 of 9 from the three. He was perfect from the free throw line. He can put the ball on the floor. He can get to the lane. He can get to the rim. He can shoot the ball from three. Skip, he has a very unique skill set. And a la Anthony Davis, another guy that's 6'10", Skip, that can score the ball from the outside. In the old days, these guys were true forwards, power forwards, and true centers. Hakeem Olajuwon played with his back to the basket. These guys, Moses Malone, all those guys played with their back to the basket. This kid can flat out score the basketball, and you can understand why everybody was so high on him coming out. It would have been interesting to see if he could have entered the NBA straight from high school. He maybe would have been the #1 overall pick. Definitely, I believe he would have been the #1 overall pick, Skip, had he not injured his back. Kind of like Joel Embiid. Had Joel Embiid not injured his back, Skip, it's hard to teach height. Either you have it or you don't, Skip. And this kid has it. 6'10", can shoot the three, can put the ball on the floor, get into the rim. Yeah, he has a very high ceiling.
So I'm trying not to overreact to this, but my gut tells me that last night a star was born for the Denver Nuggets, a star who will change their franchise going forward. Everything you said, so true. You have 6'10", and he's making 42% of his threes this year. And I know he's been making them mostly in the shadows because he's only started 3 games. And he was forced to start this one yesterday because there was no Jamal Murray, there was no Gary Harris, there was no Will Barton. So they needed him to step up and play. He's been in the doghouse, in and out of the doghouse all year from Mike Malone because he won't crash the boards the way Mike Malone believes he can.
Especially at 6'10".
That's what I'm saying. Mike Malone sees him as easily averaging double-digit rebounds. And so last night he had 9 by halftime. And you look at, my God, when you make 12 of 16 shots, 4 or 6 as you point from 3, and you come up with 12 rebounds. And he said after the game that he had to text his head coach 3 times to apologize for the previous game in which he had 1 rebound because he's better than that.
Yeah.
So I can't attest yet because I haven't seen enough of him. He's appeared in 50 games so far this year.
Right.
This is it. He's still like Zion. He's just getting his feet wet.
Well, Skip, maybe he's shown you flashes. He's shown where he gets you 20 points a game. Now, it's going to be interesting to see when all these pieces come back, where does he fit in? Because Bol, you know, Skip, they're big.
No, I got it.
Jokic and Bol and this kid.
Okay, but from what I saw yesterday, I think you don't have to fit him in. I think you have to fit the other pieces around
fit him around.
No, he's just because Jokic was a monster yesterday.
But he is a monster.
He is a monster, and he made Steven Adams look like he's about 6'3".
He did.
Seriously,
yeah.
he just toyed with him.
And that's the thing is, Skip, is that right now because they played him alongside Millsap, and so he was special, Skip.
Oof.
I mean, I thought the kid had some talent. I mean, because you didn't really get a chance to see it at Missouri. Because, I mean, as soon as he got there, hurts his back. And
yeah, he played in parts of 3. He played in the opener, and then they tried him in the first game of the SEC tournament. Yeah. Didn't work. And then they tried him in the first NCAA tournament game, and it didn't work. And that was it.
That was it.
Goodbye.
So you know, I'm not following high school basketball like that. And you hear all this talk. Oh, this kid is unbelievable. He's 6'10", yada, yada, yada. You're like, yeah, okay. And then, you know, you're okay, I'm going to see him in college. Because you see Zion, Skip, you hear about Zion, you're like, I can't wait to see what he do against, you know, college players. High school, he go into a private high school, like, yeah. But this kid has some ability, Skip. At 6'10", can score the basketball.
I can't speak to killer will or mental toughness or winner's intangibles. I don't know about those yet.
Right.
But when I hear Billy Donovan after this game, and he is not prone to gush about anybody, and he went on and on about very, very talented, very, very gifted, great potential. He was in awe.
Yeah.
He just sat back because he had 20 and 9 rebounds at halftime. And it's like, we can't cope with that.
Right.
Because there is some potential Anthony Davis there.
Yeah.
That's what that'd be the comparison.
Skip, that's a unique skill set. When you get a guy this tall that can shoot the ball like this. Skip, that's what set Kevin Durant. That's what set Dirk.
It did.
When Dirk came to the league, Skip, we had never seen a 7-footer that could shoot the ball like that. And we may never see another 7-footer that can shoot the ball. But Kevin Durant, he goes 6'11". It all depends. Yeah. Some days he's 6'11", some days. But Kevin Durant can shoot the ball, got half-court range ability. So now, and KD can put the ball on the, now Dirk couldn't put the ball on the floor like KD. Dirk couldn't put the ball on the floor like this kid. So this kid here has more KD in his game and AD because of his ability to put the ball on the floor and get to the rim.
So last week we talked about this young man for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
Remember, he made the comment on, I think, a Snapchat Live.
Right.
About coronavirus is being used for population control. I didn't condemn him. You had some issues.
Right.
You just said you got to grow up and realize your responsibility because this isn't just you sitting in your parents' basement.
Right.
This is you represent the Denver Nuggets now.
Correct.
And he just turned 22, so you say, you got to live and learn. You got to grow up.
Right.
Well, you better grow up pretty quickly because the spotlight is about to get bright on this young man.
Yeah, Skip, because the Nuggets have aspirations of going further than the first round. They got knocked out last year by Portland, so they have hopes of getting all the way. And this kid is going to be a big part of that. He's going to have to play well. They got contributions all across the. They got nothing from the bench, Skip. This was all their starter. They might have had 14. They got 14 points from the bench. You normally lose a game like that. But if you get 37 and 12 from one guy, the 30-point triple-double from another guy, and 2 guys give you 17, yeah, you can win it like that.
I would agree. So for me, all of a sudden, the Denver Nuggets, because of Michael Porter Jr., become must-see. Because now I'm on the edge of my seat. I saw little flashes back in January when he had a 20-point game. And, you'd say, well, what do you have? He had 25 at Indy and 20 and 14 at Minnesota. Right. You say, okay, I see flashes. This was a big kaboom.
Oh, yeah. And Skip, that's another guy that if they were to meet the Lakers, well, Anthony Davis is going to have to face him too now because he can score. Normally, AD is facing guys that can't score unless he's playing Giannis, Skip. You know what I'm saying? Or one of these Paul Georges or somebody like that. But he's going to have to be on his best behavior too because this kid you can't slump off because he got 3-point range.
No mercy.
Well, the Lakers are officially the #1 seed in the West after an 8-point win over the Jazz last night, thanks to Anthony Davis's 42 points and LeBron's 22. It's the first time the Lakers are the top seed in the conference since 2010. And after the game, LeBron said that he proved his doubters wrong, saying, quote, "They said I can't do it. I can just say it feels damn good to be the #1 seed in the West for me personally." Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joining us this morning. Chris, your biggest takeaway from the win?
Well, I had several, but the biggest was definitely Anthony Davis. And not what he did in the first three quarters. He's been great the first three quarters all year. It was what he did in the fourth quarter. You guys know I've been saying all season, he is going to have to be huge in the fourth quarter, especially against the Clippers. And Skip even gave him the nickname All Done because he hasn't been delivering in the fourth quarters. It's as simple as that. Up until like the last month before the shutdown, he was averaging 3 points a game in the fourth quarters. So I liked what I saw last night. 8 points, all of it in the last 4 minutes, and 6 of them in the last 43 seconds. And what I really liked was his attitude. He was not deferring to LeBron. He wasn't saying, "Hey, LeBron, you go do it. I'm the second guy." He was taking the shots that he wanted to take. And I like that. That is what the Lakers are going to need if indeed they're going to beat the Clippers and win the championship. If you look at LeBron James's history, when he has been at his best, when he's won his 3 titles, his second guy is a dog. It was Dwayne Wade at first. Then it was Kyrie Irving. That he needs a second guy that has that attitude. And there are those around the league that question Anthony Davis whether he has that. You know, some just flat out think he's a little bit soft in that regard. And so he has to go out and prove that he has it. If he does, look, the Lakers will undoubtedly be tough to beat. And the question is, can he do it against the Clippers, though? And that's what I want to see.
Of course he can. I thought last night what it was, the biggest thing, what I saw, Chris, is that not only did they make a conscious effort to get him the ball, he made a conscious effort. It's like, I'm not waiting for the double team. I'm going to do something with this ball. I'm going to get these shots up because he had 7 attempts on Saturday night. He had 14 at the end of the first quarter. So it told you he's going to be extremely aggressive. He saw the ball. And hold on, Chris, did you vote Rudy Gobert Defensive Player of the Year again? Because that's who he did that party to. Well, the two-time Defensive Player of the Year. He put a Jackie Robinson number on him, 42, 12, and 4. That's what he did to him. The French pastry chef, Rudy Gobert, made a mess of him. Call him Grey Poupon now. Everywhere, Chris Broussard. That's what we did to him. LeBron James said, "You know what, AD? I want you to go ahead and take this thing because my time going to come. I'm going to show y'all a little something because I know Skip Baylor's watching. Here's this, the fourth quarter. Hit one from the timeline, hit one a little close in, go through the lane, hang in the air, drop that one, put a quick 10 spot on him. I'm done with it. AD, take back over." So I like where we are right now. I like what I saw with AD because that AD trade was, ooh, we left the station with the #1 seed.
So, Chris Broussard, I have a stat for you that sums up what we saw last night. Would you believe that in 4 fourth quarters against the Clippers this year, Anthony Davis has taken a grand total of 9 shots? He's only attempted 2 free throws against the Clippers all year. 2 free throws in 4 fourth quarters. Last night in the first quarter, he shot it 14 times. And I agree, something happened. He just said, okay, enough of that. My issue is, let's keep it in perspective because the Lakers just own the Jazz mentally. They're not afraid of them. They like to front run on them. They're not afraid of Rudy. They're not. They beat them handily all 3 times this year. Bogdanovich had wrist surgery back in May, so he was lost, obviously, for the restart. He was by far their best second option scorer because he was their best three-point shooter. He was making 42% of his threes. The East is rivaling the West. Didn't you say the West is no longer the absolute obvious best?
Yeah, I think the Clippers and the Lakers are the 2 best teams. But look, the East is much closer. Milwaukee's obviously legit. Toronto's legit. I think Miami's legit. Philadelphia has the talent. They're not mature enough yet. So The East has definitely gotten better. And like you said, Skip, outside of the Clippers, the Lakers, and if you want to throw the Rockets in there, the rest of the West is good, but not definitively better than the East.
Man, look here. The West go deep. You got both of the LA teams. You got the Rockets.
For sure.
You got the Rockets. You got the Nuggets. You got even Portland. Man, that dynamic duo go cook.
Portland?
If Portland was in the East, they'd be the 2 seed at the worst.
Oh, God.
They'd be the 2 seed at the worst.
You don't believe that.
You don't believe that.
At the worst. Hold on, Chris. That you told me, you said that the Clippers were going to have the best record. You told everybody kept saying the Clippers were going to have the best record in the West.
Well, I don't think LeBron should start, and I'm not saying he is, but celebrating yet. Okay, the first seed isn't a big deal. It's about winning the championship. Yes. That's when he'll silence the naysayers. It won't be by getting the first seed. So I don't think the Clippers cared about the number 1 seed. Obviously, they didn't. They had guys in and out of the lineup all season.
Well, then why they try to get up against?
LeBron knows that the first seed isn't the number 1 thing.
We don't care about no seed anyway. Yeah, we come out the East in the 4th seed. I told you, LeBron say mustard seed. Just have faith. Plant me in the ground, and we go get a title. That's how we do things, Chris Broussard. But you think, Chris, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to play both sides of the fence. You like, yeah, I know he was good, but you didn't see this. Because you didn't have him. You had him at 49 games. They in the 50s.
When did I ever? I knew they win. I said, I think about 53.
I have him at my team.
knows I am not a LeBron hater by any stretch. I mean, I've always defended LeBron, but I'm objective. And I think the Clippers are the better team. That is it. My heart would be with LeBron, but my head is with the Clippers.
Well, sometimes you got to go with your heart.
All right, we'll see.
So I have one final question here. Are we sure LeBron James is the best player on the Lakers? I'm not sure about that. Are we sure?
Whatever.
Are we looking at those numbers? Leading scorer on the Laker, Anthony Davis. Leading rebounder, obviously Anthony Davis. Leading free throw shooter, it's not even close. Anthony Davis. Leading PER, 3rd in the league is Anthony Davis. LeBron is 10th. Are you sure we shouldn't be making a stronger MVP case for Anthony Davis?
Chris, you see what he tried to do. You know him a lot longer than I have, but you know exactly what he tried to do.
I'm just trying to spit facts.
LeBron is clearly the best player. Skip, you know it. You talked about it earlier, the 4th quarters. LeBron's one of the leading 4th quarter scorers in the league. AD hasn't been there until last night. So LeBron is the best. But here's the thing. If at some point, maybe even next year, AD will become the best player.
He needs to.
LeBron will still be a top 5, top 10 player in the league. And they could still potentially win championships if AD will take that mantle and get that dog in him. That's what we're watching for.
And we about to add a 3rd piece. I ain't going to tell you who it is, but we got something brewing this offseason.
I don't even care about that. I just wonder if Anthony Davis can wake up one morning and say, I've got that dog in me. I don't think you can just suddenly say.
AD, all you do is just stand up out of bed and say, I'm Anthony Davis. That's good enough for me, because I know what you're going to give me. See, don't let Skip know all that dog. All the people that talk about the dog ain't doing nothing. It's the dog that don't say anything that bites you.
Well, all dog, or is it all done? That's what I
you gonna find out when he play the Clippers.
No mercy. After being restricted to less than 30 minutes in the first 2 games back in the bubble, Zion Williamson played 25 minutes last night in the Pelicans' 109-99 win against the Grizzlies. And he racked up 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists in the win. Zion said after the game that he felt alive again. Chris Broussard is still with us. So, Chris, I start with you. How impressed were you with Zion?
He was terrific. There's no question about it. You mentioned his numbers, Jen. He did it all in 25 minutes. I like the rebounding. I've said all along he's not rebounding at the rate that he should. He'll get better at it, but he's averaging less than 7 rebounds a game. I know he can do better than that. We know his first game he had 0 rebounds back in the bubble. So the fact that he had 7 was impressive. The floor game with the 5 assists, that was impressive. That's something that he has. For the most part, since he's been in the league, he's just been a flat-out dominant paint scorer. You haven't seen as much of his other skills, but he does have them, and I think he was able to flash them last night. And what I really liked was that for all the critics, the naysayers, the doubters that Zion wants to prove wrong, I think the biggest group of people he was trying to send a message to were within his own organization. I think he wanted to go out there and show the Pelicans organization, play me. I am healthy. Stop treating me with kid gloves. I'm ready to go. Take me off these crazy burst restrictions and all these names they're coming up with. I thought he kind of played angry because he took 21 shots in 25 minutes. I mean, that is astronomical, but he wanted to send a message. I think even his quotes after the game, same thing. I feel alive. And look, the Pelicans organization means well. They're the ones with the doctors. They obviously want him to be healthy. So I'm not being critical of them necessarily, but at some point you have to let him go ahead and play and even say, look, we got to let him play. There's no signs that he's injured. And if he gets hurt, you get hurt. I mean, it just wasn't meant to be, but I think you have to let him go out on the floor and play.
I agree. I thought he looked well. I thought offensively he was unbelievable. He was ultra aggressive last night. Chris, you mentioned it. 21 shots were the most shots he had ever attempted in a ball game. So it lets you know that. And 19 of those shots were in the paint. So it's telling you what he's trying to do and what he is, because he's a monster of a man. But Skip and I have discussed this. He's too heavy, Chris. Ain't no way around it. He has the health, he has the risk factor of someone 7 foot plus. That's what he has. I wish I can make it, clear, paint you a nice rosy picture. But he's too heavy. And I believe the Pelicans are doing this because they don't believe, because you saw him, he tried to go through 3 people. He got stuffed, and Alvin Gentry called timeout. Because he couldn't get back down the court. And it just so happens, I'm hearing the broadcast he's jogging. He can. I think it's Doris Burke was on the call saying he can't make it back up the court, or he's jogging back up the court. He's too heavy to play 82 and to play 30 plus the amount of minutes that Chris you want and most people want to see him play. I just don't think. I think long term he's got to get that under control. He's special. He's Charles Barkley. He's a more explosive Charles Barkley because he can jump, hit the ground, and jump again before most people that's a third of his size can do that. So his talent is undeniable. But I'm just concerned that his conditioning and his eating habits is what's going to derail him.
Yet, Shannon, all you said is true. Too heavy, out of shape, even looked a little limpy when he went back to the bench after getting a shot blocked, like he's still favoring the knee. And he scored 23 in 25 minutes. Mm-hmm. And the greatest sign so far for Zion Williamson, they let him come back in. Alvin Gentry or somebody upstairs said, "We bless you to go back in for the last 5 minutes." It changed the young man's life. He said, "I feel alive again." Because I think, to Chris's point, he just sat over there sulking and brooding and just simmering like they won't let me do what I do, what I was born to do, which is play basketball. And I'm now of the mindset that the only way he's going to get in shape is just to play basketball. You just got to let him play. And I know it's risky because you're daring the devil with 300 pounds on those knees. You're just asking for it.
You going to play all summer? What happens when they lose?
No, well, what I'm saying is just right now.
Oh, yeah,
you just got to. So next time you let him try to get 27 minutes. Maybe the next night, 29 minutes. And maybe you get him up to 30 minutes. And maybe you got something because he is a wrecking ball with touch. I've never seen anything like it, to have such soft hands, such feel for the game, and to be able to just dominate people inside it. What do we give him, 6'6", maybe?
Yeah.
Nobody can deal with him. He was still the best player on the floor last night. He's still the closer for that team. That team's body language changes when he's on the floor because it's like, we got him and you don't. And so, to me, I'm not writing off the Pelicans down the stretch because they got the easiest closing schedule in the league, to me, because, Chris, they go Sacramento, Washington, San Antonio, Sacramento, and Orlando. They could sweep home here, and they could wind up in the play-in and be the 8th seed.
What would be sad is that Memphis complained, said it's not fair that if they're the 8th seed, they would have to have a play-in. But if they don't start winning some games, they won't have to worry about the 8th seed or the 9th seed.
I agree.
They'll be the 10th or the 11th seed, and they'll be going home at the end of these 8 games. But let's not get carried away now. He had 23 points, but it took him 21 shots. Let's not get carried away with that, Chris. 21 shots, 23 points in 25 minutes.
Okay,
but see, that was unusual. Like that. I don't know if it's the first game he's been under 50%, but it's one of the few, if not the first, because he's usually well above 50%. I agree with you guys on the weight. I do personally, because I look at his history. Look, he couldn't say he got hurt in high school. He got hurt at Duke. He got hurt in summer league. He got hurt in preseason. Missed half the year. Comes back after 3.5 months off. And remember the reports, he couldn't get through practice because he had cramps, and now he's on these minutes restrictions. We have not seen Zion play like 4 months straight of high-level basketball. I think it's the weight, but I'm telling you, there are people within the league and the Pelicans organization. I've been texting with a scout, not with the Pelicans, but in the league today, and they think he doesn't need to lose weight. They're saying, look, this is just his body. This is how he's built. Maybe need to repackage it a little, but he doesn't need to lose the weight. And there's also a fear, Skip, you brought up how he just bullies people inside. There's a fear that if you take 25, 30 pounds away, he won't be able to do it.
He still be 260.
I'm with you guys. I agree. I think he's like Barkley said. Barkley said he dropped 50 pounds when he was a rookie or second-year player.
Right.
I think he could still bully people, and I think he needs to lose weight. But apparently some doctors and trainers are saying he doesn't. He just maybe needs to get in shape.
But here's the thing, though, Chris. At playing 82 games, up, down, night in, night out, at 300 pounds, there's a reason why Kareem lasted 20 years.
That's true.
There's a reason why Robert Parrish played 22 years. There's a reason why these guys,
Kevin Garnett.
Look at Garnett. You're talking about guys that are tall, but they don't have the size.
No.
Man, you talk about that kind of explosiveness, and these guys weren't they're like leapers. That's way up in the air and coming down with that kind of torque.
Like Kareem, he was not a leaper. He just played to his height, which is 7'2".
And Kareem, we've had Kareem on several times. Yeah. He looked exactly at 70 plus like he did at 35 and 40 and 50. He looked like he hadn't gained a pound.
Yep.
I always think of Derrick Rose, and obviously he's half the size of Zion, but it was the torque. Mm-hmm. He moved a lot like Zion, mm-hmm. two-footed jumper, explosive like that, and even his body couldn't take it. So I do have those fears for Zion.
So, Chris, gut feeling right here, right now, who wins the 8th seed and plays the Lakers? Just your early gut.
I don't think the Pelicans get in. I think Portland.
I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go with the old broccoli team. I'm gonna go San Antonio get the 8th seed.
They should have won their 3rd straight last night.
Oh, that dude
Shake shook their earth with the shot.
Jay hit one on them.
Yeah, he did. By the way, Chris, just real quick, Portland's remaining schedule. They got Houston tonight, Denver, Clippers, Philly, Dallas, and then Brooklyn. Ain't easy.
Yeah, good luck.
San Antonio's is tough, and so is Memphis's. You're right about New Orleans. They got the easiest schedule, but I'm not a believer yet.
All right. Chris Broussard, so good to have you on to talk basketball. It feels good to have you back.
No mercy.
Tomorrow, MLB on FS1 continues as Bryce Harper and the Phillies take on Aaron Judge and the Yankees. It all starts at 4 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. During a podcast interview, UFC President Dana White said Conor McGregor will not fight in 2020. White said he considers Conor retired since he tweeted about it this summer, and Dana went on to say he guarantees that he would not be fighting this year. So, Shannon, what do you read into this?
Dana took control back. Skip, see, Conor McGregor thinks he's Floyd Mayweather. Well, I'm going to fight 1 or 2 fights a year. I'm going to fight on my terms. I tell you who I want to fight. You go make it happen. You pay me what I want. That's how we're going to do that. Dana White said, you know what? Now, I'll let you fight. I'll let you fight Floyd. Mm-hmm. I give you the fights you want, Aldo or whomever you want. I'll let you have that.
Yep.
They said enough of this bullshit. Because now when you do that for Conor, everybody else expect Conor McGregor payday and to fight whenever. That's not how it works in the UFC. It's not like Floyd. Floyd's like, I'm my own boss. Because it's different, Skip. You got the WBA, the WBC. You got so many belts. In the UFC, you got one division, one belt. So you got a middleweight, or welterweight, a bantamweight, whatever the divisions are, but you only got one belt. It ain't no, within a division, 4 different belts. And Conor was just like, I just want to fight this shit. Well, I want to fight that guy. And I can picture Dana say, who the hell you think you are? It don't work like that. Dana White's a boss. I'm talking about him like a mafioso boss. Skip, I ain't talking about like Commissioner Goodell and Adam
I
Silver.
agree.
He is a boss. Because Dana will call a fighter out. Well, I wanted to fight that guy. And Dana said, yeah, well, you were in line to fight that guy. But you got blown out the water your last fight, so that ain't happening. That's how Dana talks. So Dana lets you know who's in control. And I think this is his way of saying, okay, you retire? Good. See you 2021 if you unretire. But you not fighting here because you're like, well, I want to fight Gaethje, or I want to fight Khabib. No. You're fighting who we tell you to fight. And that's the way it works in the UFC.
I agree. Dana White called Conor's bluff.
Yes.
Oh, you're retired? Well, you're going to stay retired because I run this. I am in charge. You are not in charge.
No.
And it's very interesting because there came a point when Conor McGregor got so huge, I thought he was bigger than UFC.
Yes.
But Dana's not going to stand for that. He thinks that UFC in and of itself is bigger than Conor McGregor. Again, I'm not completely sure. I still say Conor is the biggest draw in UFC.
He is.
Right?
Yes.
No, that's not what this man is saying. He said, I run it. It's still bigger than you are, and you do what I say. And he said in this interview with Barstool, let me get to the end of it here. He said, Conor plays you guys in the media like fiddles. You guys are like puppets on his string. He is retired. So when Conor keeps bluffing, how many times has he retired? 10? I don't know.
Yeah.
So this time, Dana said, okay, I accept.
Right.
You are gone.
Right.
For good in 2020. And for all I know, you might be gone in 2021. Right. So the other day, Conor McGregor tweets in the Filipino language, I accept, in Filipino.
Right.
It's that language called Tagalog.
Oh, yeah.
And what are you supposed to read into it? Oh, so you're going to box Manny Pacquiao, which Manny would love to do, obviously. And it would be another Floyd sort of Conor, except this would be Manny Conor.
Right.
Well, I don't think the world's going to be on the edge of its seat for Manny versus
Skip,
Conor
the thing
McGregor.
is, Skip, when you, let's say we do something, we love doing this, but if we do something outside of this and we make 50 times what we make doing this, see, he made $100 million boxing Floyd.
And Dana co-signed.
Yes.
And he helped promote it.
He helped promote it.
Yeah.
And so Floyd...
And by the way, Conor is still under contract to Dana, so Dana has to allow him to fight Floyd and would have to allow him to fight Manny.
So, and that's the thing. So he thinks that kind of money is available in UFC. He says, well, if I fight, I want $100 million. And Dana's like, in what universe do you think, Skip, that was a once in a lifetime, that was a generational thing that did 5 million buys. Well, Dana's like, well, okay, you guarantee me 5 million buys for a UFC fight, and we'll think about it.
Yep.
But until then, and plus the 5 million buys, and how much would it cost? Like $100 and then $110 for the high def? So Dana controls the UFC. That's one thing, you go fight. John Jones is having problems with Dana now. He thinks he's worth this, and you want me to move up, pay me that? Dana said, look, I got a bunch of fighters. And I got Fight Island, I'm putting on shows every week. So either you fight or you don't fight. It ain't no, it's not like, you retire from the UFC and they send you pension checks. That's not how it works. If you in the fight game, you either fight and get paid, or you retire and live off what you made. Hopefully you saved. Dana controls the UFC. I don't know what Conor, for that time though, Skip, it was like Conor was like, Dana, do this. And Dana like, okay. Dana, do that. Okay. Well, I'm fighting this guy. And Dana acquiesced. Dana said, you know what? I'm putting my foot down. Maybe the spirits business is doing very well because, he got proper 12 and Skip. Maybe it's flying off the shelves. But if you want to fight, you on the contract in the UFC, you're going to have to fight when Dana says fight.
So I love Dana's response to Conor's tweet of last week of I accept in Filipino. He said to these guys on Barstool, what the F is that? Because that's how Dana looks like. What are you guys swallowing this? Are you going to actually run with this? Are you going to actually promote this through all your websites, or are you going to give it credibility? Because Dana is scoffing at it.
Skip, the way Dana White talks in private is how he talks to the media.
I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this.
But that's who he is, Skip. He's very matter of fact. You don't have to know where you stand with Dana White. Man, I wonder what he gonna tell you. Conor, you're not fighting in 2020 unless you unretire, and then you're gonna fight who Dana says you're to fight. But if you think he just want to fight championship fights, Skip. That's the way he looks at it. Pay me X dollars to fight champions. I ain't going, ain't no more, tone up or this, that. I want to fight champions. And Dana's like, nah, I'm going to call you bluff.
So, I remain a Conor fan.
Yes.
I even think you would agree there's never been a much more entertaining pre-fight promoter of his own fight than this guy.
No.
I mean, Ali was just incredible. Yeah. But this guy, more R to X rated.
Yes.
Just,
the stuff that he does, hey.
It's stand-up comedy, and it's must-see.
Right.
And does he go out of bounds? Yeah, he went way out of bounds against Floyd.
You think he geared up to fight Floyd? Do you think Dana let him fight Floyd again?
I just don't think people would buy it.
Oh, people buy it.
You think so? Not like before.
No, not like before.
Yeah.
But even at $1 million, $2 million buys, Skip, at $100.
Listen, I would watch Conor fight you.
He might be like that Roy Jones and Mike Tyson. It'd be interesting. I just don't know how you charity fight those two guys.
Yeah.
I want to fight no.
He is still the biggest draw in UFC.
He is.
And it astounds me that the Godfather boss of UFC just says, hell with you.
Right.
You're retired. You're out of sight, out of mind.
Well, they got a big fight coming down the pipeline. I don't know when Khabib and Gaethje. Now, I don't know when. I think that's on the docket.
Yeah.
So
since the Floyd boxing match, we've seen Conor for about 15 seconds against Cowboy?
Yeah.
Right? Didn't it last wasn't it over in 15 seconds?
I mean, he shoulder leaned him to death. I mean, that was ridiculous. I mean, I like seeing Conor fight.
So do I.
But the thing is that hopefully he's working on some other skill, because I still don't believe he can beat Khabib. Not with just one-sided, not just standing up.
Either. I would love to see it.
I would love to see it too.
Yep.
We don't know how much longer Khabib. He lost his father due to COVID. So it's going to be interesting to see how much longer he stays in the game.
Yep. I told you, Ernestine and I went to the Nate Diaz rematch in Vegas, and we sat,
ringside,
like whatever you call ringside.
Splatter zone.
Yeah, and it was the splatter zone, but it was as compelling and thrilling an athletic contest as I've ever watched before. I was just astounded by it. But that's because of the magic and the charisma of Conor McGregor.
Right. But, Skip, I mean, at some point in time, people are going to get tired of you like, I'm retired. No, I'm not. I'm retired. No, I'm not. I mean, how many more years do you think he's going to be able to do this? I mean, you don't get old in this sport.
No.
Somebody retire you before your time if you keep messing around.
Well, Conor, I hate to tell you this, but Dana White is still in charge.
Dana White is a boss.
Yeah.
He's not a commissioner. He's a boss.
He's a real boss. When he talks, you listen.
Yeah.
And how many retirements are we through now? 3 or something? At some point, I'm just not paying attention to it. No mercy. LeBron and the Lakers locked up the #1 seed in the West for the first time in a decade last night. It's also the first time a team has gotten the top seed after missing the playoffs for at least 5 straight seasons. And after the game, LeBron said he proved his doubters wrong once again, saying, quote, "They said I can't do it. I can just say it feels damn good to be the #1 seed in the West." So, Shannon, how much credit does LeBron deserve for doing it in the West this year?
He deserves a lot of credit. They added Anthony Davis, but the Clippers added Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. They're not the #1 seed. So I think LeBron deserves a lot of credit, considering that they missed the playoffs last year. He got injured, hurt that groin, and he wasn't the same. Even though he came back, he was not the same player as he was when he left. He didn't load manage him. He only missed 3 games the entire season, unlike somebody else I know that missed 13. Don't we, Skip? We know him, right?
So that means AD and LeBron have played together 56 games to Paul George and Kawhi 35 games, 56 to 35.
Did you ask me first, Jenny?
You opened the door, I ran through it.
It's like, when I ask you, it's like a rhetorical question. That's how you don't respond. But anyway, Skip, look, people were wondering, they saw LeBron get hurt in year 16. That was the first time we had seen him miss extended time. Now, he did have the back injury when he first went back to Cleveland, took 2 weeks off, got that situated. But for the most part, LeBron has been Iron Man. And so last year when he missed, 6, 8 weeks with the groin injury, people were like, is this the beginning of the end? Because he had gotten injured so late in his career. But he proved that he's durable, more durable than you-know-who, more durable than Paul George, more durable than any of the superstars. So he deserves credit. But Anthony Davis deserves credit also. AD has been unbelievable. That's why you trade 3 players. That's why you give up 3 #1 future draft picks to get this guy. But LeBron deserves credit. He's the quarterback. Skip Bayless, tell me the quarterback. The most important player on the team is the quarterback. The most important position. If you don't mind me asking, who's the quarterback of the Los Angeles Lakers? It ain't Tom Brady.
It's not my time yet. Not my turn.
So
tell me when it's my turn.
I think Fox bet, and a lot of people had the Lakers to win, somewhere between 47 and 49 games. Skip, you know, we've only played 66 games. That's 51 wins. If you project that out over 82, you know that's a 63-win season. Could I interest you in that? But it's not about the #1 seed. At the end of the day, yeah, that's a great accomplishment. Just like the #1 seed in football. That means you've had an unbelievable regular season. But that's not how we measure a man. That's not how we judge a man. We judge this thing by titles. And we will have one.
Do you have one?
We will.
Did you win one last night? It sounded like you did.
You see, that's not what I said. I said we will.
So if I were Anthony Davis and I heard what my co-star said after last night's game, I would not have been real pleased with it because LeBron James took all the credit for saying they said I couldn't do it. And he went on to say that this one's going to feel really damn good, he said, for me personally, because they said I couldn't do it in the West. Well, he's got a co-star, and you can make a case his co-star should be co-MVP with LeBron and Giannis because his case is equally as strong as theirs.
I believe he might finish top 5.
Okay. And last night, he had an MVP caliber night. Did he not carry them to the clinching of the West last night?
Yep.
What did he have? 42,
12, and 4.
42, 12, and 4. So LeBron took that opportunity to make it all about himself. They said I couldn't do it.
Did they say that?
No, they did not say.
Yeah,
they did not. All they said was, LeBron, it's going to be much more difficult to get to the finals through the West than it was when you cakewalked to, 8 straight finals in the Eastern Conference or the Leastern Conference?
Keep that energy with Giannis.
You cakewalked.
Keep that with Giannis.
Okay, you cakewalked through DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. You cakewalked through Paul George and the Pacers.
Oh,
it was a joke. You know it, and I know
it. What about the Celtics? What about the Celtics? Because you know the Celtics, the baby Celtics, that you said the baby
Celtics without Kyrie.
And guess what?
Cakewalk.
The baby Celtics without Kyrie thumped Giannis. Kicked him out of the playoffs.
Was Giannis even in the East yet?
Yeah,
I think he was playing in the G League. No, I'm serious.
No, you're not serious. The baby Celtics, if it's so easy, why haven't Giannis come up out the East yet? It's so easy.
Giannis a little overrated to me. I'm just not sure if he can rise and shine when that spotlight.
Oh, now Giannis is overrated.
Well, he is. Well, come on. What happened last year? What happened when they ran into the, what do you call them, the baby dinosaur?
Baby dinosaur,
right?
Yeah.
What happened?
But they were real dinosaurs.
They built a wall, and Giannis said, wait a second, I don't have an 8-foot jump shot.
No.
I just watched Giannis lose to a tiny little Rockets team. Little itty-bitty Rockets.
But Skip, you have to give them credit now. I mean, they're going to be, a lot of people going to lose. You let a team shoot make 21 threes, you're going to lose, Skip.
Okay, but he is revising history, as Chris Broussard just said on this show, because that's not what everybody said. They just said it's going to be a tougher path to get through the West to the finals than it used to be in the East. The East is now much tougher than when LeBron left. He got out while the getting was good.
No, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Will it be easier for Tom Brady to win the division in the NFC South or the AFC East?
Well, obviously, it's much tougher in the South.
Why?
Okay, so what's your point?
So he been cakewalking for 20 years, huh? Oh, in the AFC East.
Well, I don't think he was cakewalking when Darrelle Revis and Rex Ryan were with the Jets.
No.
Was that a cakewalk?
You take one team. You took one team. What about Buffalo? Buffalo been bad since Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, and Bruce left. Okay, what about Miami?
Until last year.
Miami hadn't been good since Marino. Marino retired in 2000.
Hey, it has been a nightmare for Tom Brady as a Patriot to go to Miami every December and lose and get his butt kicked, right?
Stop it.
Okay, but let's get back on track here. Let's quit changing the subject because you don't have answers for this, because I'm looking at a West in which LeBron James had a decent young team last year and should have at least made the playoffs, and he went 28-27 in the games that he started, and they missed the playoffs. That was shameful to me. LeBron James came to the West and missed the playoffs. Yeah. Can you defend that?
No, he missed the playoffs. There's nothing to defend. He didn't make the playoffs. He got injured. I believe had he not gotten injured and missed those 28 games, however many games that he missed, I believe he would have, 17, we played 55, so it would have been 27.
Yep.
I believe they would have made the playoff, but that's neither here nor there, Skip. Of the top 10 players, how many of them you think are in the Western Conference? Of the top 10 players, I'll give you 2 from the East.
Okay.
I'll give you Giannis, I'll give you Joel Embiid. The rest are in the West. Harden, Westbrook, Dame, Bron, Kawhi, Paul George, AD, Harden,
Jimmy Butler.
Jokic. Stop it.
Jimmy Butler.
Stop it.
Really? Jason Tatum, stop it?
So Jason Tatum is better than, okay.
Did you
Kawhi?
say Ben Simmons?
Is he better than Kawhi or Paul George?
No.
Is he better than LeBron or AD?
No.
Is he better than Harden or Dame Dollar?
Dame Dollar, yes, better.
Man, you better stop playing. Jason Tatum better than Dame Dollar.
What's Dame Dollar won exactly? What? Help me out. I'm just asking. I need the facts.
Whoa. You say the West was tough. He had to go through KD. He had to go through Steph Curry and Clay. Huh? Is that not tough?
Who had to? Dame.
Dame Dollar.
Okay.
Okay.
Help me out. Is KD still in the West?
Oh, my God. There you go.
Well, is he?
No, he's not.
So LeBron's beating his chest last night. They said I couldn't do it. Well, nobody said that KD was going to leave Golden State and that Steph and Clay were not going to play in 2020. Not going to play.
Yeah. Why do you think we made KD go join the Splash Brothers?
Oh, really?
That's what we did.
I don't think you did that.
We did that.
I think he showed you up 2 straight finals in your own house.
What did the article say?
Cleveland.
What did the article say about Kevin Durant? He thought once he won a title that he would be comparable to or better than, and that never came. That praise, that adulation that he
to
thought.
Steph.
No, he thought by winning the titles over LeBron would give him the credit. And
he beat him nose to nose in his own house 2 straight game threes.
And everybody say, yeah, you wouldn't join Steph and Clay to do it. You didn't do it. You didn't do it with Russ and Harden.
Who was the best player on Golden State the last 2 years? It was Kevin Durant by far. He's the best player on the planet, and he's out this year.
Stop saying that.
He is. Just is.
Look,
game over.
All I know is this: is that Steph Curry is a 2-time league MVP and and he won the finals without Kevin Durant. So until KD has to win one without Steph, Steph has won one without KD.
Is Tim Duncan still playing for the Spurs? Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. They're sub 500. They're just a nice little team trying to survive.
What does that have to do with
It just
LeBron?
shows you how watered down the West is this year. Did Zion play much this year? Not much.
Skip.
What if Zion had played all going on 80, whatever they're going to end up playing?
Even in the heyday of the early 2000s, it was the Spurs and the Lakers. It was the Spurs and the Lakers.
Okay.
Skip.
Did Nurkic and Zach Collins play this year for Portland? Until just now.
Oh, my God.
Until just now.
Why you
watered down?
If you don't mind me asking, why was Nurkic out? What transpired in 28?
So it's because you body bagged?
Yeah,
I don't think that's why.
Yeah, he just came off life support. Just got up. He doing well now.
Did Michael Porter Jr. star this year for the Denver Nuggets? Nope. Watered down. Not the same. East rivaling West.
Skip, why you do that?
I'm just showing you it wasn't the West is the best. It wasn't that way this year.
We mess with the West.
Were the Clippers together all year long? They played 12 total games together with a full roster. Were they the Clippers?
Skip.
Nope.
Skip. If FS1 hires a guy and all the people tell you now, he's a good worker, he works good, but he gonna miss a lot of days. That's what they told him about Kawhi. Now, you told me he quit on your Spurs. That's what you told me.
No, I did.
And then...
Well, I didn't tell you that. That's just a fact.
And then he load managed 22 games in Toronto.
Yeah, and they won the championship.
But
he was the finals MVP.
I'm not debating that. But you said he quit 1 year, managed 22 games the next year, and then the following year you say he's going to play all. You expect him to play all the games?
No.
Paul George, history over the last couple of years, he's got nicked.
Do you think Paul George and Kawhi Leonard will play every playoff game this year going forward?
I hope so.
I think they will. I'm going to knock on wood for both of them.
Do you believe old Goat James and AD going to play every one of them?
They are going to play, but they're going to have to deal with that team in the basement along the trail.
First of all, they got to deal with us. Stop saying we got to deal with them. Y'all got to deal with us.
They got to deal with the team that has risen out of the basement and is a more talented and tough-minded team than the Lakers are.
Y'all got more depth. Y'all 10 best players are better than our 10 best, but our 2 best are better than yours. And that would be enough.
That remains to be seen because basketball has 4 quarters, not just 3.
We got plenty.
I'll give you 3. Those 2 are the best 3-quarter players ever there was.
Hold on. Didn't you just see the game winner last week? Somebody hit a game winner in the 4th quarter.
Who?
You know who.
Oh, you mean the luckiest game winner ever? Look what I found. I'll lay it in.
There you go. There you go. See,
are you talking about that play?
First, you wanted game winners.
I'll shoot a terrible shot. I'll just throw it up, and it'll come right back to me. I shot it so bad it hit the front of the rim and came right back to me. And I said, I'll just lay it in. He laid it in for the game winner.
Yeah. What happened?
You going to gloat over that?
Hold on. Now, hold on. When Kawhi hit one, they hit 14 different spots on the rim. Hit the back.
Very lucky. Yeah, very lucky. But this is look what I found, where I'm going to shoot. This was you actually benefit from how bad you were because you took such a poor shot that it fooled everyone. It hit so under the rim that it ricocheted right back in your hand.
We got fouled by Marcus Morris.
Really?
And they didn't call it.
Yeah, some people thought it was an offensive.
No, ain't nobody thought that, but nobody but you. You were just hoping.
And everybody stopped except LeBron, and he finished the play.
And guess what?
Look what I found. A game winner fell right into my lap.
You were hoping that they call it so you could say LeBron turned it over, LeBron choked down the stretch, Anthony Davis didn't do anything in the third. But LeBron made that a moot point.
Are you going to accept that?
I accept it. I accept those 3 cases of dude that I won because of that, and I accept that case of dude that I won last night. You wanted a man to lay the ball in so you could win a bet. Not win the game, win a bet. Let that sink in. Let the people at home. Skip Bayless is all about, he wanted to cover a bet. He didn't want to win the game. Not the game.
I covered game 1, Clippers, thank you very much.
But hey.
And I should have covered last night.
No, you shouldn't have.
But I got robbed.
First of all, what was Kyle Kuzma thinking? Why would you foul a guy shooting a 3?
I don't know. What was Rudy Gobert thinking on the other side?
We had to made a mess of Rudy the whole night.
He was on skates.
Put Jackie Robinson number on him. 42, that's the defensive player of the year. You think Elijah Wan would have let David Robinson put 42 on him? You remember what Elijah Wan did to David Robinson when he won the MVP in the playoffs? Cooked it.
They said I couldn't do it.
And we did it.
Anthony Davis did.
They said that.
Yeah.
That's what they said about me, Goat. They said the same thing. They said, you never going to be nothing. You never going to leave Glenville. You're going to be working in these fields in Glenville your whole life.
They didn't say that.
That's what they said.
No. Yeah, your big brother was already a star for the Packers.
Was that a look at me out?
What did I do? He couldn't catch no passes for the Broncos.
He paved the way.
You know, it feels
made it
so
more
nice
difficult
to
on
hear
me.
you guys go at it like this again. There's something I like more.
No mercy.
Saturday, 2 top welterweights, Jamal Shango James and Tomas May battle for the interim title. The hard-hitting action begins at 8 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. So Ja Morant and Zion Williamson battled it out last night in a matchup that saw Zion getting the best of his rookie counterpart. Not only did Zion outscore Ja 23-11, but the Pelicans also walked away with the 10-point win. Ja struggled with his shot going 1 for 10 from the 3-point line. So, Shannon, are you still taking Ja over Zion?
I am. Although he didn't have a very good game last night, Skip. He was terrible from the floor. I thought he pressed. I thought he let the build up, Skip, Ja versus Zion. And I thought he let that get to him. And the reason why I'm taking him, Skip, if you look at what he's done, he has this team in the 8th spot. Zion is playing alongside 2 other guys that's been all-stars. True Holiday has been a first-team All-NBA defensive player. B.I. went to the All-Star game this year.
Yep.
His second-best player, Jaren Jackson Jr., is a young player like Ja. So for me,
looks like he could be an All-Star.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
He got range. He can put it on the floor with either hand, dunk on folks.
And fearless.
He is. He is. That Fab Five dad son there. So, Skip, that's what I'm doing. He's done a great job of changing the culture, of establishing a culture. 18-7. He's a phenomenal talent. He didn't show it last night. And if you just watched last night and you haven't watched the entirety of the season, you're like, well, it's, Zion. But I'm going to take Ja Morant. Another reason, Skip, my concerns for Zion's health. But I'm taking Ja because I believe he's only going to get better.
Okay, so I want to be very clear about this. I loved Ja Morant when he was at Murray State. I raved about him on this show ahead of the draft. I love his explosiveness, his mental and physical toughness. He's got that dog in him. And I love what he's now done through the hiatus to his upper body. He is beefed up. He's put on some good weight that he needed to put on because this is a man's game at this level, and he is becoming an NBA man. But Shannon, I told you all along about Zion. It's a whole nother level with the caveat of must stay healthy, must get in shape, knees must bear up under the load.
Yes.
I have no idea if he can last, but if he does, it's not even close between these two because Zion is a life changer to me. He's the force on the court that we've never quite seen in that package. A wrecking ball with touch, with feel. We've never seen that before. He was a point guard in high school. He handles the ball on the break like he's still a point guard. We saw him go behind the back the other night on the semi-break
to Zoe
for an easy, I guess Zoe doesn't dunk very much, but but the point is, he has the ability to play basketball at an extremely high level while just dominating the game with his girth and his power. And I've never seen a package quite like that because even Charles, I watched a lot of Charles Barkley, even Charles at his round mound of rebound greatness, he wasn't quite this impactful where you just couldn't, you can't keep Zion from the glass or from the dunk because he's just too powerful and he's too explosive of a quick leaper, as you point out.
Well, Skip, I believe Charles was probably more impactful because Charles was a double-digit rebounder his entire career. Charles was like a 23-11, 23-12 guy for his career. People don't really, Skip, I think the thing is because he's been retired so long, people don't really realize how good Charles Barkley was.
No, I do.
You do. He
was a below-the-rim rebounder who could throw his caboose around.
And he could elevate.
Yep.
That was the first time we had seen someone that size as far as, not height, because he wasn't that tall. He was like Zion. But that size, 250, 200, he was 300 pounds when he got, his first couple of games, first couple of months in the league. But someone that size, Skip, that could elevate like he could. And he realized, like he said, Moses Malone said, you ain't gonna last long because you fat and lazy. That's a double negative you don't want to have.
Yep.
You can be one or the other, but you can't be both because you'll be out of the league before you know it. And Charles says, I got in shape. I changed somewhat my eating habit. I still, I still like to partake a little beverage here and there. But he got himself in shape, and he had an unbelievable career. I mean, it just so happens he came out with Olajuwon that won 2 titles in the MVP, and he came in the same draft with Jordan. So he kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But Charles Barkley was unbelievable. That still might be one of the better drafts of all time, Skip.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't John Stockton in that draft?
I believe he was. So what I love the most about Zion is when the light gets brightest, he rises the highest. Where at Duke, in the biggest games against Carolina, he would take the game over late.
Man, that was a foul. He was over the back, that put back. You know he was over the back.
Love Mountain Dew in the morning. Breakfast of champions. It's the nectar. I might have won 5 cases on that.
We had him.
We lost him because Zion took the game over. Like his first game of the year this year, national TV, he's out there just stroking threes because he's not afraid. In fact, he seems to get more poised the greater the pressure is. Last night, he wanted to finish the game, and it was a huge game for the Pelicans if they're going to have any chance, and they're looking down their schedules. I told you, it gets pretty easy. So they're saying we have to beat Memphis head-to-head to cost them a game because we can get a full game off them. And then we have to just go win out. We need to get back on track because they lost a close game, and then they got
blown
wiped out by the Clippers. So the point is, what I love about Zion is he is a big-time, big-game, big-moment player. And I don't see that yet in Ja because that was a big night last night, national TV between the two of them. And Josh goes, 1 for 10 from 3.
And 5 for 21 from 3. But Skip, you have to admit that Zion is playing with more talented players than Ja. Can you imagine if Ja was playing with Holiday and playing with B.I.?
I would agree with that, which is why I still am intrigued by the Pelicans because they haven't clicked yet. If they gel, and it's going to happen fast, right before your very eyes. If Zion can last 30 minutes a game and give you 30 points a game and start giving you 10 rebounds a game, which he is highly capable of giving, then all of a sudden they have a star along with some near stars. Drew Holiday has been an all-star. Yeah. But all of a sudden, there's so much young talent with J.J. Redick, who's been shooting out of his mind.
Unbelievable.
Well, all of a sudden, you've got a basketball team that could at least give the Lakers a little bit of a game, give them a little
You remember what happened last time? Yeah, we went down to New Orleans, and Zion dunked on Kuzma.
Yep.
And then my guy came down from half court.
He did.
Shut it down. Yep. And then hit the fall away on him. Yep. And let him know, say, hey.
Hey, all I know, I would not pick the Pelicans to upset the Lakers, although some people already have.
They not winning the game.
You don't think they could win one game?
Not one.
Okay, I got lots of do ready to be bet on that.
Not one game.
Because they will win a game.
Not a game.
Yep, they will win a game.
You keep talking.
Do you want to make the bet right now?
You keep talking. They might not even lead. At no point in the game, they might not even lead.
Okay, I'll bet you 5 cases they will lead in one of the 4 games.
No, because it might be 2-0, and that's the only time they lead.
I will bet you 5 cases they will win 1 game.
Okay.
Okay,
they're not winning. They swept.
Thank you.
Not a gentleman sweep. I'm talking about one of the more melee, one of the more high-end vacuums like they be using in the hotel.
Yep.
Sweep them.
Gentleman sweep, I win.
No, ain't no gentleman. We don't do nothing gentleman. No, ain't no gentleman. We just sweep y'all.
I'm good.
First of all, y'all can y'all get to, first of all, why am I even talking to you? Why am I even talking to somebody that's not even in the playoffs? That makes no sense to me, Shannon. Why would you even stoop to such? Are you in the playoffs?
I'm going to give you the Pelicans closing schedule one more time. Sacramento, Washington, San Antonio, Sacramento again, and Orlando.
They're losing 2 of those games.
I don't think they're losing.
They're losing 2 games. I bet 2 cases do they lose 2 games.
2 games?
2 games. They're going to lose 2 games of the last 6.
Okay, I'll take it.
Got it. Saw him coming. I saw him coming, Jenny. I get him every time.
I can't even keep track.
You get me every time. You're only down like 38 cases.
It's like you guys are trying to make up for lost time here. I'm going to write them all down. I'll keep track. I'll help you guys out.
No mercy.
All right, the Tom Brady and Buccaneers hype train has been gaining steam, at least for me and Skip. But Saints defensive end Cam Jordan says to pump the brakes. Jordan said not only is Brady the second greatest QB behind Drew Brees, but Buccaneers are, quote, fighting for second place in the division behind New Orleans. Oh, and by the way, these 2 teams do face off week 1 on Fox. So, Shannon, do you like Cam Jordan saying this?
Love it. You do?
I love it.
I love that you love it.
I'm tired of everybody. Yep. Every time I click on the sports page, the Buccaneers might have the most potent offense in the NFL. This might be one of the most potent offenses in NFL history. Stop.
Start.
Do y'all realize that the Saints have won 37 games over the last 3 years? That's a little more than 12 a season. Can I interest you in that?
Ancient history.
That was just last year.
Was Tom Brady the quarterback of the Buccaneers?
Same thing. Hold up. He lost to Ryan Tannehill, but you expect him to beat Drew Brees.
No, Bill Belichick.
Oh, Drew Brees from the Big Easy. Yeah. It ain't going to happen, Skip. Yeah, I'm right. I'm with Cam Jordan. I'm riding with Cam. I'll get me some New Orleans gear. I got to get my New Orleans gear.
Do you?
Yep.
All I know is I want that same energy when week 1 finally rolls around. They may play no preseason games at all. I don't know.
Good.
But Tom Brady will be ready because he has the greatest collection of weapons around him he's had in 20 years in this league. And that Todd Bowles defense is being extremely overlooked and underrated, starting with the leading sack master in this league a year ago, Shaquille Barrett. And obviously there's Sue and JPP and Bea, and I can just keep on keeping on. They are loaded. They added Antoine Winfield Jr. to the back end.
Oh, I like that pickup.
Yep, there we go.
But guess what? Cam Jordan going to have... He said, I ain't never seen Tom Brady throw a ball from the flat of his back.
Really?
He going to be crying because you know what he does. Every time you hit Tom Brady, he get up and look at the official. You're not going to throw a flag? You know I need you to help me out because they hitting out here today. That's all he does. Stop begging and crying for calls.
One guy I don't bet against is Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
I'm betting against all five of them.
On a mission to show Bill Belichick just how wrong he was to push Brady out the back door.
I'm betting against all of them. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
All of them?
All of them.
Yep.
Gonna catch the L this year. You're not going to the playoffs, and we got due on that.
Okay, we got lots of due
you know
on
what?
that.
No, hold on. I forgot. They added an extra playoff spot, so y'all might get the wild card or something. 97 might get you the wild card.
Yeah.
But y'all not winning the division.
All
you
I know
forget
is our biggest bet is that Tampa, I say, will have a better record than New England. And I am so good to go on that.
First of all, we go downtown looking at anybody that want to play football. Because we done had like 15. They done had 15 guys opt out. So we trying to field a football team right now. So you still want that bet? You still willing to take that bet?
Yeah, I already got it. I took it. You accepted it. You started it. You posed it.
But hold on. I didn't realize, Skip, that I was going to...
I don't care. I'm not...
Really?
I have no sympathy. I'm sorry. Zero sympathy. So here's my point. You got Brady on a mission, and you've got Cam Jordan not understanding...
On a mission?
You don't tug on Superman's cape.
Yes, you do.
The one guy that you don't dare is Tom Brady. So he's daring him, and trust me, this is going up on the bulletin board.
That's how the Tennessee Titans say they pulled on his cape. Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Miami Dolphins pulled on his cape. The last two teams he played in his building got whipped.
Well, he didn't even have a defense. Now he's got a defense. Now he's got a real defense.
Are you written, Skip Bayless?
Yeah.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I'm not ashamed.
Now, you know Coach Belichick defense.
I watched Ryan Fitzpatrick go 75 yards in 13 plays to knock them out of the 2 seed. Way to go, Bill.
Y'all lost 7 games last year, Tampa did.
Okay. Way to go.
Jameis Winston
Here we go.
5,200 yards.
We're playing for first place is what
Tom
we're playing.
loves this. What did you say at the beginning of the show, Skip? 43 years young with you. That is it for Undisputed. We're back at the same time tomorrow. Have a good day, guys.